5, yeah. Well, I was hoping.
Got two hands. I can vote twice.
The Charter Review Commission is now in session. I'm going to call the roll. Ward 1, Ward 2,
Here.
Here.
Ward 3.
I'm one.
You're 1, 2, and a member at large is here. So we do have a quorum. Next item is citizens to be heard. I have 2 cards here. One's for citizens to be heard, and another for later on in the agenda. Ms. Rutledge.
Chair, just so you're aware, we are having some difficulties with getting it on your screen in front of you. So we're working on this. You have the timer going.
Thank you, commissioners, and I hope you had a happy Thanksgiving. Yes, I'm taking a couple of my seconds to tell you that. You'll have to call me and recognize me, just like you have in previous meetings. Thank you.
Item 4, discussion and possible action on the City Council minutes and Charter Review Commission joint meeting minutes of November 8th, 2022, and Charter Review Commission meeting minutes of November 16th, 2020. Not a good day for me. Is there a motion? Is there a motion to discuss some possible action?
I make a motion to discuss possible actions as mentioned.
Second.
Okay. Second, I have a motion and a second. Sorry, the chairman says yes also, so the minutes are approved of the Charter Review Commission, certainly not the City Council. The next item.
I think the motion was to review the minutes. Is that correct?
Do we want to? You're welcome to review them. Did you?
I'm sorry, I reviewed them.
I mean, did you have
Yeah,
any
I read them
changes?
earlier.
The motion was to accept it.
I make a motion to accept the minutes as written.
Second.
I vote aye, so the motion
passes.
carries unanimously
sorry.
of those present. No, don't be sorry. Okay, number 5, discussion and possible action on previous items voted for recommended changes in Articles 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6 of the City of Rockport Charter. Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes, sir. So in your packets, you saw not only the sections that we're going to review later on, but there were 2 items, 2 documents that were provided to you about previous items that the commission did vote upon, and then items for which y'all had asked for language to come back on. So I'm prepared to begin with either of those.
Well, why don't
Do you want to start with the ones that had them
Well,
with the language?
we went over that all. We can take them item by item. That's not a problem. Is that what you want to do?
Okay, that's fine.
Okay,
You want to take citizen comments on this item, though?
I'm sorry.
If
You want
they,
to take citizen comments on this item?
I think so, item by item.
Items 4, 5, and 6, yes.
Well,
1, 2, 3, 5, and 6. 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6.
That's true for here, but when we talk about citizens to be heard, Ms. Fretchlich only signed up for items 4, 5, and 6.
That's agenda item. So that she has 5 on there.
Okay.
Mr. Rodriguez, what did we change on 1.04, the
Hold on 1 second.
construction of?
I think Ms. Rutledge would like to speak on agenda item 5 that we
we are on right now.
Ms. Rutledge, oh, are you ready?
Yes, and as I said in my opening comments, I'd like for you to call on me as you all discuss these items, because I don't know what to address until you discuss them, okay? So as it goes along, I'll raise my hand. If you can recognize me, we can continue like we did before. It worked out great. Is that okay? Is that okay with the chair? It's up to you.
I need some assistance here. The way I read this, she makes her comments, and we go on here, but Ms. Rutledge is asking for continuous recognition as we go
That's
through.
up to you.
Yeah, that's up to you.
But the item is posted as to what will be discussed, and she can address those items as listed on the agenda.
And I'd like to address them as we go along, if that's okay, if you'll recognize me. I may not speak on all of them. I think it worked out great.
It's not an issue, I just want to make sure we do it right.
Okay, it's up to you. If you're okay with
I
recognizing
think
me.
that's what we
Thank you.
voted on last time for two. Go on, they can speak before, and then they can speak on each item.
They just wasted a minute 20 of my time.
This
Can you
is
roll it
the,
back?
this is the agenda item. So she is, the procedure you voted on was she was supposed to speak before.
It's your agenda
Debate.
item.
You debate.
Is that what we decided
Yes,
last
sir.
time?
That's
And
the policy.
the microphone is yours, but you will not continually be recognized.
It's up to the chair to recognize me, if you'd like to.
He just recognized you.
Right.
Well, based on your card, I recognize you for item 4.
Okay, I'm not prepared to speak on all of those agenda items because I don't know what you're going to discuss as you go along. So if you'd like to recognize me going forward on these agenda items, that'd be great, because I'd like to know how your changes go, the way that we've done in the past 3 meetings, and it's worked out great. If you're open to that, because it's up to you, because you're the chair.
Well, I don't want to make new laws and uses here. From previous experience, my understanding is if you sign up to speak on agenda item 4, then now is your time.
Right, that's fine. And so
Okay.
if that's
And then when we go on to item 5,
item 4 is the minutes. You can move past that one, right? You just approve those. I don't need to speak on that one.
okay.
But I would like during the charter review items, when y'all are going section by section, if you would recognize me during the meeting, how you should have the last few meetings. I think you have Ward 2 shaking her head yes, that worked out fine for her in the last meeting, but that's up to you because you are the chair and you have the option to recognize me.
Ms. Rutledge, that's not the procedure they adopted at the very first meeting.
I understand. They're trying to make sure that I don't speak when you recognize me. I don't get that option, and that's part of what's been going on with the city council, and that's why we had some comments at the last meeting. So it's up to you, and I'm asking you for that, just to recognize me along the way. That's up to you if you'd like to do that.
We voted and passed that they could speak before, and they could speak at the time the item was brought up. Is that not correct?
And
This is the item that's brought up.
And there's always an option.
Excuse me, ma'am, I'm speaking. The item that is before you is to go through Articles 1, 2, 3, 5, and 9 of the actions you previously taken. Your vote was to allow them to speak on each item. This is the item. She has 3 minutes to speak on that, unless the chair recognizes her and gives her additional time.
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you.
So which item are we on?
Well, we just did item 4, and we approved at least our portion of the minutes. Item 5, discussion of possible actions on previous items voted for consideration, recommended changes in Articles 1 through 5 and 9. Thank you.
So would you prefer to go through what was adopted, voted on, and adopted? Or do you want to go through the ones that had put that you wanted us to bring language back. How would you like to proceed first?
That's what,
think we
I
just wanted-
believe is correct.
The ones that were approved, we don't need to talk about anymore, I don't think, they're done. But the ones that we.
The only thing I would ask on those items is that I believe this is probably beneficial to give the council purpose for each of the changes, and not all of them was there a stated purpose that was provided by the commission. So maybe if we wanna revisit some of those, we can do that. So she's got them up, for instance, if you look at, section 3.01, the deletion of subsection B, at least my notes did not indicate a stated purpose for the deletion to forward to council. Now that can be, y'all can make that change without providing a purpose to council, or y'all can take this time to decide what the purpose is for the deletion.
Does anyone have a discussion on this?
So last week we talked about that pretty in depth, or a couple weeks ago, and I believe it was brought up that we had several conversations that we may not get the participation for people to volunteer to be city council for that period of time. And if we do get somebody, do we want to push them out at that 10-year mark, or do we want to give them the opportunity to keep going and let it rest on the voters? And then it was also discussed that at the 10-year mark, it doesn't say that they can't come off for a short period of time and then run for the position again. It's just a consecutive period. So in the multitude of our discussions, we felt that it would be best left up to the voters to decide on tenure.
Did we not delete the 10-year limit?
That's what the vote was, yes, sir.
Yeah.
And that's what's reflected up there.
So what he's looking for is our purpose as to what the result of our discussion was last time.
I think the purpose would be to allow the citizens to decide who stays and who goes, for whatever length of time.
So, voter choice. Just voter choice, is that a sufficient?
And it was because of like, for possible, in case people weren't volunteering to run for city council.
Voter choice and increase the pool of candidates.
Sounds good.
Can I just get a motion and a second for that to be the purpose?
I make a motion that we change the wording to the voter's choice and wider selection of candidates.
I second that.
I have a motion and a second on the motion that has been read. I also agree with that, and I vote in favor. Therefore, the item passes on unanimous vote.
And then, 3.10 was the next one. Was a change to the rules of procedure. There was an addition, that was included in there.
Unless someone else sees a reason to change that, I think it's good as it stands.
Well, we did change it. The blue we changed.
Oh, the blue we changed?
And it
to
allows
those.
people to speak at the beginning, and citizens to be heard, and it allows them to also speak at each agenda item.
Prior
correct?
to deliberation, yeah. So the purpose for that in our discussion was that there might be technical input or professional expertise type of input after discussions before the deliberating vote. So that was our purpose for adding the opportunity for the citizens to be heard at an additional time before deliberation.
Before deliberation, not after, not get into a discussion about why we did this or that, but it should be plain to everybody because we use that as a rationale to do it.
Right, so as the city council meetings go, the citizens to be heard are at the beginning, and then the city council meeting carries on, and then they deliberate. So, per our panel's discussion a couple weeks ago, we thought it would be an opportunity to let citizens be heard right before deliberation, after the city council talks amongst themselves,
Right.
and more information may come out, and then citizens with technical information or experience might have something to say right before the vote. It was just another opportunity there.
Yes.
So we have clarification. Are they allowed to speak before there's any deliberation or after there's deliberation and before the council votes?
The item just said that the vote that y'all took was to allow citizens to be heard during the citizens to be heard portion and deliberations on agenda items. Still be up to council to develop their own rules as to how to implement that.
May I just say the purpose that this was brought up from the floor at the last meeting was because standard procedure has been for citizens to have 3 minutes during citizens to be heard on non-agenda items, and then have an additional 3 minutes prior to each agenda item to discuss that agenda item, just like you asked for me to do right now. But recently, that 3 minutes prior to each agenda item has been cut out randomly by City Council, and we don't know why. So the reason for adding the "and" in the charter was to ensure that citizens have an opportunity to speak prior to each agenda item. Thank you.
I think the word on there that we're missing is prior and deliberation. If you want to bring back so right here in 310, where it's highlighted, it says citizens to be heard and deliberation. I think what we had discussed that a couple weeks ago was prior to deliberation.
Prior to the deliberations. We don't want to create an ad hoc group of folks that join us in deciding what it is, but once we've come to a decision, it's appropriate for the citizens to comment on that.
Okay, so my notes must not have included the word prior in there from what y'all had discussed, so.
But he said that so they can talk after the vote.
I understand that. I'm trying to get, is this not the language you want?
It should not, like I said, we were not inviting folks to join the panel here to talk about that, but they should have information, as you've said, technical or otherwise, or personal information. So citizens to be heard and before deliberation.
Before deliberation on agenda items.
Right.
Okay.
I make the motion to add the word prior to deliberation in 310.
Can we change that to before as opposed to prior?
And before, I make a motion for the word before to be put in.
I have a motion. I have a second. I also, sorry, I'm just not doing well today.
Good.
So we have,
You're doing fine, Mr. Chair. The stated purpose for this would be to invite additional potential expertise on an item. Is that correct?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's in that part of your motion, ma'am?
Oh, put it in,
Maya?
I don't want the verbiage.
That would be the purpose, not the
purpose,
change.
yeah.
Yes. So the motion, as I understand it, or you can adopt it as I say it, is to include the word before in the third line prior to deliberation, And the purpose for that would be to increase potential expertise and input on agenda items.
To add to the citizens' right to speak about the agenda item. That's what we're trying to say?
Well, that's what we're trying to say, if that verbiage works better than just dropping
And the
property.
deliberation's the vote, right? I mean, the deliberation's the
Well,
vote.
our discussion here is
Consideration
deliberations.
of an item. It may or may not result in a vote.
You know, if we don't get a second,
Oh.
then it fails for,
Well,
Oh, then I am misspoken on the deliberation part, so I think that prior to the vote, if there's any vote.
what
So it
I,
would be, then it would just be as
I don't
it
think
is.
that we intend to allow it to only be experts that talk. I think we want the citizens' input, and they're allowed to do it before the deliberation on each item.
Okay, so increase citizen input prior to deliberation on an item.
Yes, sir.
That's the stated purpose?
Yes, sir.
Is that part of your motion, ma'am?
It could be during deliberation also, right?
I'm sorry.
Would it be during? No? No?
That's against Robert's Rules of Order.
Ma'am, is that part of your motion?
Yes,
Okay, is
Yes.
there a second to that?
prior to deliberation.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Those opposed?
Thank you.
Did you have something to say, Ms. Rutledge? I saw your hand.
I think the word each, and I think y'all kind of got there, but not really. He said and, but I don't know if that word was added.
The next item is 3.11, where there was a change in subsection 3 with the insertion of regular city council meetings with the deletion of with at least 1 week between readings. So the way that the charter currently stands is that there's 2 readings with a week between it, and the change was delete the week and just say it must be read at 2 regular city council meetings.
I make a motion that we keep it as it is now with the week between readings.
I have a motion. You understand we're going to leave the wording as is.
I think people need time to find out and get there. I've had things that I didn't learn about, and I wish that I had been able to speak.
The last meeting that we had, we discussed removing it.
There's still a 2 reading requirement.
Right,
Yeah.
right, to remove the 1 week between readings.
And this has 2 regular city council meetings.
Right,
Which would mean
so that would,
a week apart.
so as
2
this stands, right?
So right now,
Yeah.
it would be 2 weeks between readings. If we have a regular council meeting every week, there would be 1 week. If we had 2 regular meetings a week, there would be however many days. So whatever the regular meeting is what this is stating.
Have we defined
With that
regular
list, 1
meeting
week.
yet? And our
City
review?
council defines what a regular meeting is annually.
And this says with at least 1 week between readings. I see no reason to change that.
Okay, that's fine. I mean, this is what y'all adopted, was to change to go to regular meetings. I just need to provide a purpose to the city council as for the reason for the change.
I can't think of a purpose to leave something alone.
I mean, a couple weeks ago, we discussed that we did vote to remove the 1 week in between and just leave it at regular meetings. That way, if they needed to.
If it's something really urgent, then in a different section, the city council can have an emergency meeting.
You
Oh,
can't
no,
leave
a
it as an
regular
emergency
meeting. It would, no matter what, it
2
would be a
regular
regular
meetings.
meeting.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for recognizing me, Chair. Two regular meetings defines things where an emergency meeting is not a regular meeting, nor is a special meeting a regular meeting. A regular meeting is a regular meeting, which we have 2 a month typically. When you guys discussed this, it provided for time between first and second reading for more citizen input and among, more information, more research, what have you. It provides more time for people to provide input if they want to for the second reading. And that's why you guys voted on it that way, is to make it between 2 regular meetings.
Again, I don't have a problem with it shall be read at 2 regular meetings. If it's a regular meeting, it's, as you say, there's 2 in every month.
Well,
So I
Chair,
don't see the need for,
I do believe that what our attorney is looking for is the reason why we're making this change, not making the change. So to provide for why is the commission recommending that we make this change? That's the question that the attorney is asking.
We need a motion.
If you can just tell me generally, and then I can maybe write it down or spin it a little bit.
I think the purpose was to give more time for citizens to be aware of the situation and provide input.
So, provide additional time for citizen input.
Yes,
Okay. Does anyone want to make that motion?
I did.
I have a motion.
I'll second that motion.
I have a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Passes unanimously.
And that was it from that. So unless y'all want to revisit any of the other items, we can go on to the other document that I provided.
Well, I reviewed the minutes from.
I'm sorry.
Did we not want to talk about annexation? Wasn't that to be brought back up and looked at?
That's in the next one, but, oh no, we will get to that. We can go to the next document. There we go. Commissioner Wagner, I believe was the one that brought up, section 1.04, and you wanted to provide some clarity as to what happens when a petition is filed. The language that I provided there on the screen is just to make it, at that point, do with that petition what one would need for an initiative, which is in Article 6 of the Charter. So just to provide additional clarity as to what happens to the petition for disannexation.
What is a subsection?
1.04.
I was reading state law today, and it stated that if the county was less than 500,000 people, I believe we're the smallest county, so I think that's us, less than 500,000, that they pretty much can do what they want to. If it's over, you can petition. It said petition the county, which I don't, I said Miss Brenner or what, but it said county.
So it's just up to y'all whether you want to provide the clarity that was sought.
Just real quick, if I remember Mr. Wagnon's comments, he wanted to make sure that the charter stated what would happen after a petition to disannex was received. And I do think that needs clarity. I recommend that y'all push that back until he comes back. Thank you.
I don't think that's an effective use of our time. I'm sorry that he's not here. Obviously, he has something more important than to give his comments. We need to resolve this and move on.
I make a motion that we table this till Mr. Wagner's back to get clarity from him on what we're talking about, what we want to do.
I second to hold that, yes. I second
Okay,
that.
a motion
Till he gets
made
back.
and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I say no. Motion passes on 2-1 vote.
The next one is in 3.11 under 3. This was where there was some discussion on zoning ordinances, whether y'all wanted a shorter period of time than the 2 reading requirement, and that was the language that's presented was for zoning ordinance.
Feel the same way about this one, that I want the 2 weeks for people to have time to find out about it, study it, and come back and present their wishes.
Did you need what our purpose was for this one as well? Or we're just
No, this was
revisiting with the
language.
verbiage?
So the reason for this one was actually a comment made from Councilwoman Jackson about zoning ordinances, already go through a lot of public input by the time it reaches city council. And does a zoning ordinance need two readings? One of y'all, I don't recall who, requested language with respect to that, and this was language that would allow for the dispensation of the 2 reading requirement if a supermajority of the city council approves it.
Unless the city council dispenses
Supermajority.
with the need for a 2 reading requirement and an ordinance approved by at least 4 members of the city council.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for recognizing me. The reason why I initially brought this up was so that people could get busy on the work that they were doing on their property. And from what I understand from this is that the council with a supermajority can say, we don't need the 2nd reading, we're good to go, bam. And then that gets the property owner into their work much faster than if we wait another 2 weeks for the same vote again. That was the idea behind this.
I don't have a problem with with number 2. We're charged with creating a purpose.
No. He has the purpose. We're looking to see if he wanted to, we told him to get the right verbiage for this. So now he's typed it out. Here's the verbiage. And we want to see if this is the intent that we were discussing last time. So my whole thing is, I'm kind of stuck on dispenses. I don't, it's like a new.
What word would you like?
No, I mean, I don't know. I'm not either way or the other, but
I believe this is where we talk about. I
does that
believe
give
that
it?
everyone within 200 feet gets a notification.
No, sir.
No.
No, this is allowing city council to agree or to approve a zoning ordinance without a 2 reading requirement.
So Ms. Dietrich had come up and talked.
Let me
Yeah, I'm
just
sorry.
say, so what y'all did vote on was to make all ordinances subject to 2 readings at 2 regular city council meetings.
Right.
What this language says is for a zoning ordinance, you're allowing an exception for a zoning ordinance if a supermajority of the city council allows for it to be done only at 1 city council meeting.
Yes, ma'am.
I just want the commission to be aware that I have attended some zoning request changes from P and Z and here at the 2 readings at City Council. And in several of those meetings, there were many people here. It depends on the controversial nature of the rezoning request. So I recommend that you not consider this new language and stick with how it was before, with no changes made to the charter on that.
Nothing requires the city council to dispense with the 2 reading requirement. It gives the council the option to dispense with it.
Can you just, what is the word dispense here?
It means to not
No
have
way.
it.
To not have it?
Yeah.
I'm crayoning. Okay.
I've been through a zoning change, and it's ugly.
Well, I would think that if people show up, then the city council would know that it would require the second meeting, and we discussed that last time. But if there was some type of emergency, which we've seen here, so does this verbiage go by what we discussed that last meeting? I think it hits exactly where we discussed. It gives the city council the option to shorten the time period if we have a citizen in need, but then it also gives the city council the option of seeing that this could be something that the city needs to discuss some more and make sure that it has that second meeting. So, we're trusting our elected officials on making that decision.
Well, the city council is required to have a supermajority vote to dispense, so there's a safeguard right there.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion that this verbiage is sufficient.
Second.
I have a motion and second to adopt the verbiage presented here. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed?
And the purpose of this would be just to provide
Additional
city
time for
council
input from,
options if needed for customer service purposes.
yes, sir.
Okay.
That's not a.
I'm sorry.
Can I get a motion on that?
I make a motion to the purpose of changing the last discussed item, the last discussed item is to
give city council an option to dispense with the second reading for customer service purposes.
Yes, to dispense with the need for customer service purposes, for citizen purposes.
I have a motion. Yes, ma'am. Oh, wait, no, there's a motion in play. I'm sorry. You raised your hand several times before and then put it down. There's a motion to change the purpose of this, or to add a purpose. It was read. I have a motion. Do I have a second? I'll second it. We need to move along here. We have a motion and a second. All in favor of the change to create the purpose, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say no.
Abstain.
We have an add.
5.01, Mr. Chair, is regarding city elections, and there was a lot of discussion regarding the movement of the elections to November. Of course, I expressed the challenges with that. And this language would give the city council an option to move an election from the May to November if provided by state law without having to come back for a charter amendment. It would allow it by ordinance,
If allowed by state law.
if allowed by state law, yes.
I don't think we can do any more than that.
That's what we were hoping for, to put our intent. Yeah. So I make a motion for the 5.01 city elections to include the verbiage as it is, as intended.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed?
And the purpose of this would be to provide
Correct.
council choice on city uniform election dates, correct?
Yes.
Yes. We need a separate motion on that? We did on a previous one. I didn't agree with that. Okay,
Can I get a motion on that, provide city council choice on uniform election dates?
I make a motion that the purpose of that, the city elections, was to give the option other than the uniform date.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Passed.
So that takes us, takes us to, the next agenda item, number 6, Mr. Chair.
Next, discussion and possible action on section-by-section review of the City of Rockport Charter and consider possible changes thereto. While any article of the city charter may be considered for review, it is anticipated the following articles will be considered: Article 4, Article 6, Article 8, and Article 11. 12. 12. I have to start wearing my glasses.
So beginning with Article 4.01, there were no changes that were proposed. However, Councilperson Jackson did have some items or a question as to whether a 6-month severance is standard and some additional items.
What is normal? What's other?
I will tell you that in a charter, it's very unusual for there to be a severance provision in a charter to begin with. That's very atypical. But I've negotiated a lot of city manager contracts over the years, and a 6-month severance is not atypical. I've seen them longer. I've seen them go up to a year. So it's not atypical at all to have a 6-month severance in there.
Oh, I know where that came from.
Just a note to this commission, the last city manager that was discharged cost us quite a bit of money. And so I think that to have the severance provision in the charter binds us to it, and maybe that should be deleted or reduced down to 30 days. Thank you.
Have you seen it to where it can be voted on by the city council, where it could be at 30 days to 9 months, depending on city council vote?
I'll say again, having a 6-month severance in a charter provision is not common. In fact, that's unique. I couldn't find one from any other city, to be honest with you. If I'm the city council and you turned it down to 30 days or whatever other, I would question how many candidates you would actually be able to get as city manager. I believe you reduce the amount of people that you get if you lowered it at all. I mean, but again, that's a choice that could be made.
Chair?
I'm sorry, yes, sir.
Thank you, sir, for recognizing. I believe what the attorney is trying to state is that by removing it, it gives us a little leeway when negotiating the employment contract with the candidate. But by having it in there, it may limit our abilities if it's in our charter. Would that be correct?
Yes, sir.
I'm thinking that we recommended to the council that they have the authority to set the severance package to be between 30 days and with a maximum of 6 months or 9 months, something like that, where it gives them the.
Thank you for recognizing me, Chair. The best thing to do, in my opinion, in this case, is to completely remove the verbiage for the severance pay cap, because that gives us all kinds of things. If you put us in a box, we can't negotiate. I hope that makes sense. If you limit us to this, but they would be willing to do something outside of that box, we can't, because the charter says we have to stay in this box. So my recommendation will be to remove that.
That language is in subsection number 2. Oh, she's already. Thanks for having my back like that. Yeah, the last sentence of subsection 2.
And if we remove it, we're also giving the option where they can negotiate larger packages.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
That's exactly what that would do.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Amaya, I agree with you after hearing the discussion, so I say leave it in there.
I'm sorry, you say?
I recommend to leave it in there.
Well, as I've said before, I understand the reason for that. And it's not my intent or our intent to handcuff the city council in doing what's best at the time provided. That, you know,
$175,000 seemed like a lot of money to get fired. I'm hoping I get fired and do something like that.
Well, the 6 months is, it's limiting it. It's just saying that when they negotiate a city manager contract, that they can't put in more than a 6-month severance package into that contract. So let's say a new city manager is coming on board, they negotiate their contract, they can only put up to 6 months of a severance package, so that new person may or may not take the job because it's only a 6-month severance package. But then if we end up not liking them and let them go, they don't get more than 6 months. So.
well, I agree with that. As I said, I don't want to handcuff the city council, but in my personal history, I've served 3 cities and I never had a contract with any of them. If they didn't want me, I didn't want them. And the first city didn't have a charter because it was too small. But that was the way it was here. well, anyway,
City council has the option to not take our recommendation, so
that's a very good point. If we're not tying their hands, we're recommending that their hands be tied. And then they have the final authority to say, is 6 months right? Is the sentence need to be deleted completely? We're an advisory commission, and like I said, I'm aware of the previous situation, and I'm happy with that. And if the city council wants to eliminate that, that's their right and prerogative, and they'll have to live with it, them in future city councils. Do we want to have anything in here about, the first sentence is fine. The only one I'm talking about is the one that begins no employment agreement. Can we leave the first sentence and delete the second?
Yes, sir.
Then that's my motion that the second sentence of that item number 2 be deleted. Is there a second?
Can you repeat that, please?
I'm sorry?
Can you repeat that,
to
please?
delete that last sentence.
My motion is to remove that last sentence beginning no employment agreement be deleted.
I second.
We have a motion and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
I oppose.
It's passed on a 2-1 vote. What do we got next?
The purpose of that would be just to provide flexibility in negotiations with the city manager, correct?
Yes. Do I have to vote on that too?
Please.
I make a motion that we adopt what our advisor said, since it's not up there on the screen yet. Do I have a second? I have a
Second.
For the purpose.
Yes.
For the purpose.
Yeah, a second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
I opposed it.
Passed on a 3-1 motion.
2-1.
2-1.
And the next item is city secretary. There were no proposed changes to that.
We're looking for a motion to,
If y'all don't have any changes, that's fine. I just need to know if there's no motions, there's no motions, but.
There is a motion.
I make a motion that we make no change on this item.
We don't need a motion on that, but.
Okay.
Next one is municipal court 4.03. Also, no proposed changes to that one.
I don't see any need to propose a change to that. Does anyone else have a proposal? I'm sorry. Okay. Well, we'll leave that alone.
In 4.04, city attorney, there's a proposed change down there that city attorney be referred to an individual or a firm. That was actually comments received from the city council at the joint council meeting, and that was the language that based on those comments that I drafted. And you see the purpose there, comments received from city council.
Well, I agree with the proposed change. Is there a motion to make the proposed change?
Make a motion that the city attorney can be an individual or a firm.
Do I have a second?
Where would that, where would that go? Would it go like as a pre?
It would probably be number 7 in section 4.4. Is that?
I second that to bring back the verbiage, and then we'll vote on that verbiage at a,
You don't like this verbiage?
oh. Okay, that would be number 7, that would be it.
Do I still have a motion on this item?
Yes, there was a motion
Okay.
to approve.
Do I have a second? I think I seconded that. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passed unanimously.
Got it.
Can you go back to 4.02, City Secretary, there's one item in there that is no longer applicable.
Due to changing terms, which is under H, back of records all franchise occupation tax, sales tax, city. That no longer falls under the office of the city secretary, it falls under finance.
Is that in a different section?
That was in the 4.02.
Right, and then would that move to a different section?
I don't know if that's even necessary in there or not.
It's just a
Okay.
job duty and a
Yeah.
job description.
Okay, so I make a motion to strike 4.02H, per the city secretary, saying that it's not a responsibility of theirs anymore. It's a financial responsibility.
Second.
I have a motion and second to delete item H. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous.
Mr. Chair, I think that takes us to 4.05, the city engineer. And the proposal was just to delete the section in its entirety. The reality is the city has many engineers that it employs based on a project-specific basis. And to not have one person or firm to be the city engineer, but to provide flexibility based on project engineering.
I make a motion that items 1 through 7 be deleted and verbiage be put into where the city council can hire engineering firms for separate projects.
If you delete it, that would still provide them that flexibility without needing any additional language.
Okay.
So if you would have just adopt the proposed change with purpose, that would be fine.
Make a motion to take the proposed changes. Did we delete? Did I get it deleted? All the.
I mean, would the city council still need to, should we leave the option for the city council being, able to remove somebody off of a project, or I don't know, like, cause
We may need to help on this, but generally they're engaged on a project-by-project basis through contract. So the removal would be pursuant to the contract.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second the motion to remove that.
Motion is made and seconded. All in favor say aye.
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 Look at the High Bridge in Norton's Corpus.
Did you aye?
Oh, aye.
Aye. And the proposal passes unanimously.
4.06, there were no changes proposed.
I make a motion that we accept the no changes.
We don't need the motion, there's no
Okay.
changes to it.
Just consensus.
I'm for it.
Changes.
No changes.
Okay. 4.07 personnel system, also no changes were recommended or proposed.
I don't have anything.
Changes? No changes?
No change.
No changes.
That takes us to the entirety of, Article 4. You want to, ready to go on to Article 6?
Yes, sir.
Article 6,
6:30.
top here, deals with the initiative referendum and recall provisions in the charter. There was one recommended change in number 4, change chapter to article, just for consistency's sake. And for clarity, that the registered voter would be a registered voter in the city of Rockport.
I think that just makes it clear on who the qualified voter is. The purpose is naming consistency and clarity on where registered voters must reside. Anyone have a problem with that?
Yeah, it gets rid of a gray area. I make a motion to adopt the proposed change.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Passed.
Next was 6.02, which was the petitioners committee. No changes were proposed for that one.
I don't see a reason to change that.
I'm good.
I'm sorry.
I'm good.
You're good. No changes?
Then the next one is the petition circulation. To reflect that there's a comment from Councilperson Jackson regarding that. And the change was to provide clarity. My apologies for the typo there in the purpose. But to provide clarity that the petition blank should come from the city secretary.
Yes, Ms. Rutledge.
We've had several petitions over the last couple of years, and I don't think there was any problem with the form, so I don't see the reason for this change. Thank you.
Thank you.
They do have to get the form from the secretary, so it's uniform and has the
Correct information, is that what we're looking for?
And so we know for sure that they're official petitions of the city of Rockport.
We're good for that, right?
Do I have a motion? Motion made. Is there a second? I'll second.
What's your discussion here?
I'm sorry? I didn't get a response.
I didn't really hear. I didn't hear.
I'm sorry. I have a motion to leave that as it is.
Leave it as it is. Yeah.
Is that a second?
To leave as is or to?
I'm sorry.
There's a motion to adopt the change, and there was a second to that.
Second to that. All those in favor say aye.
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 Can I see the change?
Where are we, sir?
We're waiting on Ms. Amaya's vote.
Does this add more work? Is this necessary?
It provides you uniformity to all the petitions, so that I think it'd be.
So when she has to come back and review the petitions, she knows that the petitions that are signed are petitions that were issued by the city of Rockport.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Okay, I get it now, I'm sorry. It's a filing thing. I got it.
The 6.04 formal petition, and there's no recommended changes to that.
I'm sorry, y'all, I'm like struggling a little bit today.
Take all the time you
I'm
need.
sorry.
You're awesome. Keep making those motions. You're pretty good at second.
There's no such thing as a bad question.
Okay. Jump on board.
So 6.04, there's no proposed change, is there consensus on that?
I see no problems with it.
We can move along. I got nothing.
Okay, I have a motion and a second.
No, we don't have to.
We don't have to.
It's got thumbs up.
I couldn't see the bottom one anyhow.
Similarly, 6.05, there's no recommended changes to it.
Anybody see a problem with that? No change?
I think it's okay.
No change on 6.05.
6.06, no proposed changes on that either.
Does anyone see a need to change that? No change on 6.06. Excuse me.
6.07, it's a long provision, but no recommended changes on that. This deals with the certification of the petitions and their subsequent presentation to the city council.
Is everyone ready?
Yeah, I was just like looking it over really quick to see if that serialization type thing would fall into here anywhere, but like if any changes we made, if it would affect any of the verbiage, but
Future
it's
on.
good, yeah. No change.
No changes.
6.08, no recommended changes. This discusses the ability for one that may be recalled to have a hearing.
Sounds fair.
I'm fine with it. There's no change to 6.08.
6.09 is for action on an initiative or referendum petition. No recommended changes to it.
I'm good.
Says it's complying with the Texas election code, so I believe that's
That's what we need.
There's no change to that.
Yes, sir. 6.10. Couple of changes that are there. The language there is kind of the current language is not necessarily in compliance with the Texas election code with the 25 and 35-day provision in there. So it just allows us to have the recall election in accordance with the Texas election code, which basically means have it on a uniform election date.
Yes, Ms. Rutledge.
Just keep in mind that the election code can change, and so I like this language that requires it to happen within 25 days, because if someone is recalled, and we have to wait till the next referendum election, you know, we're talking May or November or whatever, uniform election, we're talking a long time. after a recall before the election actually happens. So I like this language. I recommend not accepting these changes. Just,
The additional language allows that if the officer vacates the position, you can cancel the election. You don't need to go through the recall if they vacated the position. And also, if the uniform election date would extend beyond the officer's term, the election would be allowed to be canceled at that point as well. So for instance, if someone is going to be, currently, you have a 10-year term limit, right?
Right.
So if in the ninth year, 9th month, they get a recall petition, but they're gonna be all gone in 3 months anyway, then you could cancel the election under that provision. Under this last sentence. That's what that was intended to capture. So it just, the last two sentences that were additions were to give some flexibility to not have unnecessary recall elections.
Back where, would it give value back where in 501 where we added the, if state law allows the movement of a city general election, like, would that give any value?
A recall election, special election, not a general election.
Okay.
I believe it's what we want, isn't it?
Yeah.
I do. There's no, I have a motion, do I have a motion to change?
We need a motion.
To accept the
To
change.
accept the changes, yes.
Accept the
And
change.
the purpose.
Oh,
I make a motion that we accept the changes and the purpose as stated.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
So the purpose would be to
Provide
reduce.
compliance with the Texas Election Code and for allow cancellations for unnecessary elections.
Okay, I second that.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 That's, motion's approved.
6.11 discusses the withdrawal of a petition, and there's no proposed changes to that section.
What would be the situation where there would be, something would be removed or recalled? Or
They changed their mind for some reason. If there was a petition, for instance, to have a referendum on an ordinance, and it began circulating and the city council repealed the ordinance, someone may choose to withdraw the referendum at that point.
I guess it gives them the freedom to do something if they wanted to, so I see no problem with it.
Go with it.
Do I have a motion?
No, none needed if I get the
Oh,
consensus
it's,
there.
leave it alone, okay.
Moving on.
So at 6.12, there's a recommended change to these sections, and
When would the law, not require a line like that?
so the charter currently is very prescriptive. It says immediately below the ballot title, this shall occur. With the new electronic voting systems, there may not, to me, this is a reading that is a creature of paper ballots.
Okay.
Unless required by law, then the requirement that it be immediately below may not be practical based on current voting methods.
Technology. Okay. I'm
That's
good.
the only reason for the recommended change.
I'm good with that.
I
Next,
make a motion to adopt the changes as shown.
second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
It's approved.
6.13, regarding the results of the elections, there was no proposed change to that.
What about the Florida vote?
I'm sorry, say that again?
What about the Florida vote?
I make no comments on anything.
Can you, scroll up a little bit?
There's no proposed change.
Yeah, this,
We
Good.
agree, no proposed change. No change.
6.14, comment from Councilwoman Jackson regarding the wording that's contained in 614.1, which resulted in the change that I drafted based on her comments.
I think it's helpful to list it out like that than to read it in the sentence.
Yeah.
I didn't change the substance.
Yeah, it
Yes.
doesn't change any of the information, it just like listed it, bulletized it, so it's easier to read.
It's pretty clear and pretty fast for a bureaucracy, so
So I make a motion to adopt the change
second.
for the purpose of clarity and reducing confusion.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Finally, in section, Article 6 is 615. And this one's gonna require a little bit of explanation from me. Currently in your, charter, it allows for what happens if the city council does not call an election when they're required to call an election because they've received the appropriate number of votes. Okay? Currently, one of the mechanisms by which they're allowed to do that is for the county judge of Aransas County to call the election on behalf of the city council. Now, y'all can leave that in there and that's fine. However, I don't believe Aransas County judge has any jurisdiction to call an election in this instance over a city council. And if he did, there's no requirement that the city council would ever have to recognize an election called by someone else that doesn't have jurisdiction over you. So removal of that provision and what will happen in that case
Thank you.
is you're gonna wind up in court anyway, right? Citizens still have an absolute right in that last sentence to bring a taxpayer standing lawsuit to enforce the petition being called or to force the election being called. If 615 was ever going to be implemented, there's gonna be a lawsuit somewhere. And I'm not suggesting that there be any prevention of the people having that power. They still have that power. They would have that power even if that section wasn't even in there. Okay?
Yep, under Texas law.
Right. They would have taxpayer standing lawsuit to be able to do that.
Yeah, it still says any qualified voter. So,
Right.
yeah.
The only provision I removed was to eliminate the ability for someone possibly without jurisdiction, in my opinion, definitely without jurisdiction, to call an election for which they have no jurisdiction to call. That's the reason for the change.
Yes, ma'am.
I can't imagine that it would ever happen that a city council would not call an election and refuse to do so, but there's a reason why this language is in here. And it's in here to protect citizens should there be a rogue city council that would not call an election on a referendum or a petition. I do not recommend accepting these changes. We need all protections that we can get. And so please leave this in here so that we do have recourse without having to file a lawsuit, an expensive lawsuit, to our county to call an election if a city council should ever not do so. So please don't accept these changes.
Let's talk more about the authority and the desire of the county to interfere in a chartered city. I mean, does the city have recourse? Is a
Yeah,
loss?
the city wouldn't recognize the jurisdiction, the jurisdiction sought to be imposed over them. The county is a political subdivision of the state, just like a municipality
Yep.
is. One does not give one greater authority over another. It's definitely a separation of powers. There's definitely a separation of powers doctrine that one should consider in examining this language.
So, a side question, Art, real quick. Is this would this go to a district court or would it go to
Go to a district court.
it would go to a district court?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
If the last sentence in the present,
So
Right.
basically, if the county judge was to make the motion and it goes to the district, it would get thrown out and it would just waste funds because the district would then say that the county judge doesn't have the jurisdiction over city council.
So the removal of this language just prevents a county judge from calling an election that the city chooses not to call. Okay?
could we
He has no jurisdiction over that.
could we recommend that the last sentence in the current language be added to the proposed change?
That last part, the any qualified voter, is already in there. So that would remain. The people still have an option to enforce their rights.
Yeah, that's
Absolute right. And I am not suggesting that any rights be abridged here.
Okay, I see it now. I think,
yes, ma'am.
I'm really surprised by this recommended change. We've gone this long without charter review and charter changes. It's to note that we do have a new county judge coming in, and so I don't know why that this change is recommended at this time, but I recommend no changes. I hope that the city council would not even be considering not calling an election in the future. We have an election coming up in May, so please, no changes on this one.
but having the county judge call anything, that's like having a coach make a call on a football field. I mean, he's not qualified, it's not his job, he doesn't have any authority.
The charter gives them authority.
We don't have the ability to, I can tell you right now, the city has no ability to grant authority to a county judge.
I'm all for,
The county gets their authority from the state of Texas legislature and the statutes, not from charters, not from ordinances, not from city resolutions.
I think, yeah, and I think we're getting our,
I can cite you a long list of cases that say counties get their authority from the state.
oh, yeah.
Not a single one of them say from the city.
and this is where we're getting the best advice from our legal perspective here, so, you know.
I will grant you that this provision will probably never occur.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I looks to me like that the citizens still have a right to sue or judicial relief, isn't that a lawsuit?
Yes,
Yeah.
and honestly, and absolutely honestly, you could remove this whole section and the city, and a citizen would still have the right to sue. I mean, you're not taking anyone's rights away from them. You're not limiting any rights.
I make the motion to adopt this
Second.
change.
I have a motion and a second, all forward, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The change is unanimous. I'm sorry, ma'am.
We've been in session for an hour and a half now. People may need to get up, go to the bathroom, walk around, get the kinks out.
How much longer?
We've got, y'all tell me, we've got two other articles to go through. They're not very long, I will tell you that.
Take a quick break and.
Yep, 15-minute break.
Just because you had a
A lot of old people in here, probably have repeat.
6:57?
is mine,
Oh, is that the time, 6:57?
didn't know what I heard you call her chief, right?
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yep. The Charter Review Commission is now in session. The time is now 7:05.
Mr. Chair, the next article we have is Article 8, Tax Administration. And beginning with 8.01, the ability or the power to tax, there was no proposed changes there.
I'm sorry.
No proposed changes to 8.01.
Anybody see a reason to change?
We're good.
No changes.
Eight point zero two tax collection.
I don't see a reason to change. No changes.
The next section is 8.03, the assessment of property for tax purposes.
No change.
8.04, when taxes are due and payable. No proposed changes.
What does VTCA mean?
Vernon's Texas Codes Annotated. That's just the name of the publishing company.
Changes? No change.
8.05 allows for tax liens and suits. No proposed changes.
This has worked for the city in the past.
No change.
And 8.06, no proposed changes to that article.
Any problem? No change.
All right, then that takes us all through all of Article 8, or 7.
Seven.
No, 8. My apologies. Then, if we want to begin tackling Article 12, which was kind of a general provisions, it's the catch-all on there. We should be able to get through this rather quickly as well. According to the city manager, it'll be easy.
Do we want to continue on, push this to bed?
I'm good. I'm good, whatever you.
That's good. There's this much left. Let's press on.
So in 12.01 regarding public records, there is a provision in there that allows for the charges of copies at a nominal charge, which is rather unspecific. It was just for the charges to be done in accordance with state law. Obviously, currently the Attorney General has their list of what these charges are for public copies of records, and that's what cities follow throughout the state.
So the charges required for public record is established by the state?
It is actually, yes. It's established by the Attorney General.
Yes, ma'am.
I submit public information requests to the city, to the county, to the Texas General Land Office, to school districts, to the EDA, and I have never been charged anywhere except for the city of Rockport. And one public information request, I was charged $250. This needs to remain as nominal. I believe that the city is overcharging on occasion, and they're already paid for their duties. They don't need to charge $15 an hour just to look up the information that is in the public information request. And so there's been several instances this year, this budget year, that I requested things like the tax rate calculation workshop sheet, or things that were omitted from the agenda packets, or workshop handouts that were given to city council representatives, and I had to request them because they weren't put in the agenda packet. And that's at least a $15 charge, sometimes more than that. So I believe that there should be no changes to this section. We are not required to charge public information fees or fees for public information, okay? So it should be nominal, if any fees at all. They're already paid for these duties. And so we don't need to overcharge for public information. And I've gotten thousands of pages for free across many entities. Thank you.
Is there any scale that you're aware of from your other cities or entities that have a particular scale for, man hours researching? I'd be upset too if I wanted a copy of an old requirement and it's just been put on a Xerox machine.
I will be happy to address that.
I'm sorry.
I will be happy to address that. According to the Attorney General and the Secretary of State, there are specific guidelines as to what the city can charge for a request for public records. If it is over 40 pages, then you can provide, $40, you can charge for your time, where it takes to look up and gather records and things. So there are guidelines that are very specific to what can and cannot be charged. And that's how we develop our fees.
And I can tell you this, that just having dealt with open records my entire career, the charges that are allowed don't recover the costs of the city's time in order to produce them. They're still charging copies at 10 cents a copy, which is very, 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 that amount hasn't changed in 2 decades, I don't believe.
Goodness.
Still the the labor charges are still capped at 15, regardless what the person is actually being paid.
Well, I'd like to input that if you keep it at nominal, it's there's no weight, there's nothing to reference it to. If we change it to according to state law, then there's something to reference it to and hold the standard. So I'm good with the change.
Yes,
If
ma'am.
you keep it nominal, it's
What's nominal? Is it 10
exactly.
cents a page? Is it?
Nominal is it can fluctuate. So if the state law changes to where the cities can, or I mean whatever, but nominal just is whatever. But if you put it to state law, then she says it's very specific, so you can reflect back on it.
Is there anything in the state law that provides guidance to counties and districts and cities?
It's actually in the Texas Administrative Code, the whole list of how much back in the old days, how much a floppy disk cost, how much a Mylar map cost, anything that you want printed, there is a charge for it, and it's been adopted by the Attorney General. The guidance is there. What the law allows is that is what you charge. You have to petition the Attorney General in order to charge more. And I can tell you that those that have petitioned do not, they do not get granted very often. Okay? But the charges are uniform to any city across the state, to any public entity across the state.
I believe
Yes,
this
ma'am.
says, to come and look at things in the office, that there would be a charge according to, I don't think that this language is necessary. Nominal, the city is not required to charge for public information. I've seen one public information request by another person that got a quote from the city secretary for $450. To provide some accounting records. These fees are used to discourage the public from getting public information. They're not necessary. They don't happen at any other entity. The county does not charge anything for public information of any sort. And we always work together very, very easily. I work very easily with many, many agencies. So the fees are used to discourage public information. This is not a good change. This is a point where you can provide customer service to everyone by not allowing this change and just leave it nominal. We should be allowed to view or no charge for public information. We're already paying the salary of the city secretary. Thank you.
Under the proposal here, it says to, well, not the purpose, proposed change. The proposed addition is our nominal charge in accordance with state law. Can we quote the state law, or can we, basically it says there, yeah, I can, what you're saying is I can go down to the county courthouse and say, I want all the documents from fiscal year 2021. And not only would they show them to me, but they'd put the whole thing on a copier and give it to me for free.
If I can clarify, what I'm saying is if you add it to the charter, then then the city secretary will be required to charge for public information. The way it is now, she's not required to charge for it.
That's not correct. That's incorrect.
So I think it could be interpreted that way, and so I'd like for there to not be any change. Because she has the option now of charging a nominal fee or just sending the information for free, such as the city budget that should have been put in the agenda. It should be just given free, and I shouldn't be charged for that. $15 for a flash drive or an email. That's my experience has been, it's been hard to get public information. I've been told to ask for public information and wait the 2 weeks when it should have been included in the agenda packet or on the city website, and then I'm charged for it. So my experience is that less is more in the charter on this one. Thank you.
She's wrong.
I'm sorry.
This does not require, this does not change in any way the amount that's charged.
That needs to get into the record that it is a required charge. Okay.
I make a motion to approve the change in accordance with Texas state law for the purpose as written.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? I will second it. Vote on the motion. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Nay.
And one no. The proposal passes on a vote of 2-1.
12.02 requires the official newspaper to be selected for a 2-year period. No proposed changes are made.
The budget year is 1 year. I don't see reason for 2 years on this one. I'd like it to say 1 year.
Yeah, I have it in my notes for a 1 year.
And it's gonna take 12 seconds for the city council to
Yeah.
renew or not.
Yeah. So you say a year?
Is there a motion?
So I'll motion to reduce the time to 1 year period.
Do I have a second? Before we vote on this, what's the proposed change? I mean, what's the purpose? I think you said it,
to include it in the annual budget and give opportunity for
It's not a budget item, ma'am.
different a different competition.
I don't disagree with this, but we need a purpose. You know, we no longer have the Herald as the great
Give city
wonderful.
council options to change if they feel like it's necessary.
Yeah, each year. I mean, I just saw that, you know, some people are interested in starting another paper. So if there's competition out there, you know, that would give every other year the ability, instead of the same publishing every year. So if there's competition, that would allow for a change annually. That'd be the purpose. A motion for that purpose.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to change,
Chairman, you got Councilwoman Jackson that was working with the.
I'm so,
Motion and a second, that means I want to.
I'm sorry, I'm deaf.
Go ahead.
You can have a discussion on the motion.
Okay.
Being a purveyor of state statutes, and we got a legal session coming up. Once again, it's coming in front of the state legislature to remove the requirement to put anything in a newspaper due to social media and other things. So maybe the right answer here is to remove this article, this section. I'm just saying maybe. Or we leave it as is, because if the state statute changes, then I don't have to pick a newspaper.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure how to approach that in a verbiage type setup.
Yeah, I've got a problem with timing. If the legislature is gonna remove this, you know, should we be fooling with it at all?
So, I will tell you that, over the last several sessions, things that generally used to have a newspaper publication requirement have actually had alternative methods for publication as opposed to newspaper. Quite frankly, of course, we all know that newspapers are dying. So the requirement, I mean, as I understand, I mean, we can change it to the second sentence being all ordinances, notices, and other matters required by this charter, city ordinance, or the Constitution or laws of the state of Texas shall be published in accordance with state law, if you want to do that, and then that provides flexibility in the future.
I think the sticking point is, do it at a 2-year period as opposed to, once a year.
That's the current motion. I believe what Councilwoman Jackson is saying, if I can be so bold, is to remove the first sentence and then to add to the second sentence in accordance with state law.
Yes, ma'am.
I just want to add that a lot of people don't use newspapers because they have a fee. So social media sites where the city should post their notices.
There's a lot of elderly people that do not look at computers, Facebook, anything, and this is their way to find out about it. I think we should try to have it 1 year as proposed.
I still get the paper.
And then in accordance with state law, so if that legislation,
That's right. Yeah.
The motion that's on the table right now is for it to go from biannually to annually. That's the motion.
and we all were voting aye, we all voted yes unanimously.
No voting.
No? Okay, so
Can we amend the motion?
I made the motion, you
Then-
seconded the motion.
Did you second or amend?
No, she seconded the motion. Ma'am, if you want to amend your motion, you can.
Okay.
In accordance with state law.
I'll amend the motion to include in accordance with state law.
Do I have a second?
Okay, I don't understand the change. Can you explain that to me?
Okay, so we will change the 2-year period to a 1-year period. And then if the state law were to not require publishing in a newspaper, it can be revisited by city council at that time. So
So can
in
I-
accordance with state law.
Can I explain to you, or can I repeat what I believe your motion to be?
Clean it
And
up
you
for-
adopt it,
Clean it up for us.
and you adopt it if that's okay? So your motion would be for 12.02 to read, the city shall declare annually an official newspaper of general circulation in the city. Period.
Period.
All ordinances, notices, and other matters required by this charter, city ordinance of the Constitution and laws of the state of Texas shall be published in the official newspaper or in accordance with state law.
Yes.
We didn't get a 1-year period in there.
Wait.
I
Wait.
did.
Okay.
It changed
Okay.
to one.
So what I'm saying, I'm saying against what you're saying. Then okay, I hear it.
Is that your motion, ma'am?
You want to keep a newspaper?
Who, me? I don't,
I think it, are you saying we're not gonna put it in the newspaper at all?
If the
If the state
changes, we're
changes
given
the
the
law
option
down
to
the
take
road.
it away.
That will be that. But right now, we can keep putting the newspaper for it annually till the law changes.
Yes.
I'm in favor of keeping the requirement for the newspaper on a annual basis and throw in the disclaimer about state law. If that changes, then our charter will have to abide by the state law changes. Now, that's just my.
That's all of us. That's all our opinion.
Okay.
Is that
Okay.
Do I have a motion?
That is my amendment.
Okay.
As I stated it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is there a second to that?
Is the 1-year period still in there?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
The next item is the nepotism statute. And
There was no vote on the original motion.
it was amended. She adopted
Well,
the.
you vote for the amendment, and then you vote for the main.
Okay, yep, you're right, on the main motion. All those in favor of the main motion?
That
as
part,
amended?
what? I've never done that part. I've never done an amended and a main, so.
There you
So
got the
we go-
motion.
Robert's rules.
We're gonna turn this one down and rewrite?
The motion was as you originally indicated. You amended it,
Mm-hmm,
which was approved, to
mm-hmm,
amend the main motion.
correct.
So now what I indicated as your motion is now the motion that's in front of y'all now. So if you want to approve it again, let's have a vote.
Vote.
I don't
Say
want to go
yes.
through that again.
Yes.
All in favor, say aye.
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 12.03 is the nepotism charter provision. No changes are recommended there. However, people have some question generally as to what affinity and consanguinity are. So I provided the definition of them so as to that might be helpful in your reading of that article or that section.
I concur with no change.
Yeah.
No changes.
12.04 is an oath requiring all elected or appointed officials to sign an oath of office.
No change.
No change.
No change.
12.05 relates to prohibitions and penalties. And there's a recommended change to change physical disabilities to just disability.
have questions about disabilities.
Me too.
If we have a crane operator, you know, and he's got Parkinson's now, and he's gonna drop a bucket on somebody, that's a disability, should disqualify him from that job. If you have someone in the office that gets Alzheimer's or some brain injury or something, they can't do the job, you've gotta keep them on the job, is that what this is saying?
It says that the one will not be discriminated against based on a disability.
So we're gonna keep this 90-year-old person as a city secretary?
No
If they can
offense.
perform the job,
Well,
why not?
I'm
There's
saying,
a difference in discrimination and ability to perform the job. If they can't perform the job, we do not have to keep them regardless.
okay.
We cannot
Well, that's a
not
lawsuit.
give them the job based on one of these attributes.
Okay, you can't fire them because they're that way, but you can fire them let them go because they can't perform the job.
Right.
And there's where your lawsuit comes in, where the only applicant for a job you have open is somebody that's mentally challenged. And it's been told it's good therapy if he goes to work. And he can't do the job because he,
This is not indicating that someone should be given a job because they're unqualified to do the job. It's just saying
but you can't discriminate against, disabilities.
Right, so if someone has a disability and are qualified to do the job, then you can't discriminate against them.
Well, how do you know he can't do the job if he doesn't get the opportunity?
Well, I'm
I
assuming that
just-
there's some testing provisions and qualifications and job descriptions that have qualifications to do a job.
There's also the fact of licensure, which, taking Doug's example of somebody with Parkinson's operating a crane, there's a license involved with that.
Yeah.
And that person would no longer qualify for that license, therefore they cannot be a crane operator because they do not qualify. It has nothing to do with their disability.
In reality, you don't even have to make a change here, to be honest with you, because federal law already, speaks to this. This was just an attempt to try to make the public see that this is more in line with federal law already.
I think it's good the way it
It's okay.
is. Yeah, I think it's good the way it is. Just move on. Don't even
With
adopt it, yeah.
They proposed a change, taking out the word physical.
Yep. I realize the federal laws are greatly in favor of people that can do some things, and that's fine, and it gives them self-worth, puts a couple of bucks in their pocket. But my objection to this thing is this is a lawsuit waiting to happen. I go outside and I fall down on my head and I come back in and say, I want to help the city secretary, put me on. Oh no, you had the brain injury. That's my only concern.
This is not saying that you have to give a job to anybody. You still have, this is basically saying you can't discriminate against.
All you have to do is tell him no. And he won't be on salary, he'll be on the lawyer's
I understand that.
front stoop.
But we're not arguing a difference of opinion here. Federal law and actually state discrimination laws
I think,
prohibit us from discriminating in this same manner. Again, y'all don't have to make this change. A person with a disability other than a physical disability will have the same rights regardless of whether this is approved or not.
anyone would have the ability to apply for a job, or if he's already there, try to keep the job, but if he cannot perform the job, then something will be done. Don't want that crane guy to.
I agree with that. I'm just concerned that there's a barrier. Oh, I'm sorry, we can't do that because,
Well, they're gonna-
Actually,
I'm
if you
sorry.
adopt this,
You need a bell or something.
Thank you for
I'm not-
recognizing me, Chair. I'm just gonna say it bluntly. This was last changed in the year 2004 while you were the city manager. Has it changed? Has the federal rules changed that much in the last 18 years from
No.
what you adopted in 2004 to today? They have not changed. They've just expanded.
I'm good with the
This
change.
is not a lawsuit waiting to happen.
I'm not,
Okay.
I'm not opposed to the change because it gives anyone the ability to apply for a job. That doesn't mean he's gonna get the job, or if he has a job, he's not gonna be able to do the job, and they will find another place for him, or he'll go on disability or something. I don't see any problem with it.
If you want to adopt it, I mean, it's
So,
just a administrative
All the change does is recognize that there's more disabilities than physical.
disability.
There could be mental, there could be nervous,
Over-
any other disability. It
overgenerous.
recognizes all disabilities as opposed to just physical disabilities.
Yeah.
It doesn't speak to being able to do the job, being able to keep the job, being able to perform the job duty, or being able to sue whoever you want. It just recognizes all disabilities.
I make a motion that we accept the proposed change.
Do I have a
I
second?
second the motion.
Moved and seconded, all in favor say aye.
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 12.06 regards assignment, execution, and garnishment. There's no proposed changes on that section.
I don't have a problem with it.
No change.
12.07, security and bond provision, no proposed changes.
I'm sorry, we were reading ahead of you. I already have a motion and a second. All those in favor of leaving it alone?
We don't need.
Oh, you don't need a motion.
got it.
Go ahead.
We got it.
We're good
Moving
on
on.
12.07.
Moving on. We're good.
Good.
7?
We're good. No changes.
I just want to be clear, on 12.07, there's no changes.
Concur.
Okay,
Correct.
12.08,
I'm good. I have no changes.
No change.
12.09,
I'm sorry, did you concur?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. 12.09?
and that's just to provide consistency with the civil practices and remedies code that provides that the mayor, city secretary are the people that should be served a lawsuit.
Who's the city manager's secretary? Should that be city manager or city secretary?
It's changing it from the city manager to the city secretary, which is what Texas Civil Practices reads.
Oh, I'm sorry, there is a line through manager. My apologies.
Yes, sir.
Did you put that in there?
Me? Hey, I'm gonna deflect everything.
We're good.
With the change, you need a vote.
Okay.
Do I have a motion?
A motion
So,
to adopt the change to section 1209 as written with the purpose as written.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. How much more?
12.10, no proposed
I'm good.
changes.
No change.
12.11, the emergency powers of the mayor, no changes proposed.
Hold on a sec. Let's read this first. Go ahead, Mr. Gonzalez. Go ahead, Ms. Rustler. Ms. Yes. please.
Okay, yes, I'd like to see a limitation to 7 days for the powers of the mayor before it comes to council, just considering COVID crisis that went on and on and on and on. So I'd just like to see a limitation for emergency powers, 7 days.
Okay.
doing that? 11.
That's all. So, my apologies.
Maybe we should have quit a little while ago. Okay.
Should be some limitation on the mayor that goes to the city council, but I'm not sure how to phrase that because depending on the situation, can we get a council meeting?
That's the real challenge. And, I mean, there is a limitation, it's only in certain circumstances.
Limit the mayor to when the next city council meeting is held?
It basically says that before the council can convene to consider the action.
Yes, if you look at that middle section, is that when it appears that action may become necessary before the council can be convened to consider such action.
Yes, ma'am.
According to statute, we have an hour of notice before we can have an emergency meeting. In most of these cases, the mayor can make a decision and then he's meeting us in an hour so that we can then discuss and say, yep, go, whatever. So in an emergency situation, technically, the way I read it, is that the mayor only has that power for an hour before the city council can be convened.
Yes. The other part about that, though, is only if there is a quorum of people that can meet in an hour.
Quorum, and that's in person, correct?
And in an emergency situation, that may not always be possible.
And that's true, but I mean, it's not like,
It's not unlimited.
It's not unlimited.
it's not unlimited.
First of all, the power is granted only in emergency circumstances.
Yes.
And secondly, it's only until the city council can.
Yeah, we went over the city council, powers of the city council. And we discussed that then too, so I don't think that there's any change necessary to this. Yeah.
The next one is 12.12, severability. Very standard legal provision. I'm not gonna sugarcoat that one a lawyer wrote. No proposed change.
Change?
I don't think there's any change to be made.
No change.
12.13. Again, very rotten lawyer wrote that one. No changes. 14, amendments of the charter. No proposed changes were made.
I'm not sure if this is true, but I did talk to the city of Portland, the city secretary there, and they had a charter review. They put each charter amendment on the ballot separately. Is this the place to add something like that? I think that would be very good if you have multiple charter review changes, to have each separately listed on the ballot.
For 15.
What's that?
What Ms. Rutledge was discussing, for 12, yeah, I have that down for the next section. I don't have anything for 12-14.
If it's all lump sum together, nobody knows what they voted for.
Do you have any changes to 14?
Okay, hang on.
I'd like to see it as was suggested that each change item be listed separately on the ballot.
Is there a motion?
So I can speak to that.
Yeah.
If you look at number 1, it says amendments to this charter may be framed and submitted to qualified voters of the city in the manner provided by Chapter 9 provides for is for charter amendments to be submitted to the voters based on a one-subject basis. Okay? So, in its submission, the city council has to decide what is the one subject. What you're talking about is already provided for in chapter 9. I can give you the citation right now if you'd like. But it's already provided for in chapter 9 of the local government code. And number 1 already captures that statutory requirement.
If that's covered, I'm good. We couldn't quite know what chapter 9 was.
That's the charter provision. Charter section, home rule section of the local government code.
Do we have a motion?
Are there any changes to that?
Oh, no change.
I'm gonna take that back and just look at it, just to,
Okay.
yeah.
Section 12.15 regarding the Charter Review Commission, no proposed changes were offered.
Change.
Anybody's percent, no change? Anybody see any reason? Okay,
We're good.
no change.
And finally, number 12.16 just allows numbering to be consistent. No
That's
change.
administrative.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good to go.
Good. Any changes?
It's good.
No changes.
That concludes all the changes we had indicated we would be bringing today.
It's fine, I think we've had enough to do.
We have completed 75% of our charter review.
Whoa!
We have 3 sections next time, and the final 3 sections, which are Article 7, 10, and 11.
That's next time?
Next time. We will get through all those next time. These are not long sections.
What are the remaining? The remaining sections that,
I'm sorry, Article 7, 10, and 11.
and the next time?
Next time.
And everything will be sent to you in
Is there any more?
advance to your email by Monday and posted on the website. So you have an opportunity to read this before you get here, if you like.
Have it just a few pages and not 80 pages?
No, sir. I don't control the length of the charter.
Yeah, we got it. We got the amended version yesterday.
80 pages?
All of this yesterday. Yeah.
Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I just want to clarify what we're gonna be doing for the next couple of meetings. So
Please.
the next meeting we'll go over 7, 10, and 11, right? And then that'll be on the 7th, and then the 14th we'll meet again.
So that actually, if we could move to item number 7,
Okay.
future agenda items.
Yeah.
It's a very good question. By next time, we will have the final, or we will have gone through it all. You're required to have one public meeting, okay, and maybe feedback now as to whether y'all want that to be the next meeting or skip a meeting and go to the 21st, December 21st. Let me get my calendar out, make sure that I got that right. Oh, good. So we have 3 meetings that we discussed still to have. One on the 7th, the 14th, and the 21st. Next, next meeting, the 7th, we should be able to go through it all. So y'all need to consider whether y'all want to have the public meeting or the public hearing on the 14th or the 21st. Because at that point, there will be a final report, not yet adopted, but a draft final report that we will post on the city's website so that we can have public comment on what your final report will be or proposed to be.
My only concern is that December 21st is running into people's traveling and all of that. So I think if we can wrap it up on the 14th, the review part, that we should do that. Anybody else feel any different?
I don't care.
Or you don't care? Yeah, I'm gonna be in town, I don't care.
So on the 14th, you wanna have the public meeting?
Yes.
Well, do we want to go through all of our initial recommendations before the public meeting or during the public meeting?
Well,
because I would, after we go through sections 7, 10, and 11 next week, right, I would like to look at our entire list of initial recommendations before we talk to the public.
okay.
That's my preference.
Okay, I was just concerned that people either having relatives coming in near Christmas or them trying to travel near Christmas that are interested in being here to see stuff, so.
It will still be posted on the website to receive comment as well.
Okay. I withdraw my
So just
suggestion.
so that staff, so we can give some idea to staff as to when to publish the public notice. We're still targeting the 21st, correct?
So on the 7th, you want to finish it up. On the 14th, you want to re-review. Public hearing on the 21st. Is that what I've heard?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Got it.
And 7, 10, and 11, that's the only ones we have not done, is that what?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Like city offices and everything's open on the 21st, right?
Yes, ma'am.
There's nothing closed? Okay,
ma'am.
all right.
We'll be here.
Do I
Thank
have
you.
a motion? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Chair?
Oh, I'm sorry, sir.
to clarify the dates, after the public meeting on the 21st, we will have a joint public in January? Joint
No.
public meeting?
Or that will,
Or,
So on the 21st, it'll be a public hearing and their consideration of the final report to forward to the city council.
okay, track it.
And
Thank you.
then, at that point, it's up to y'all as to how y'all want to proceed at that point.
Yes, sir, thank you, sorry.
Can we go over the procedure for that now, or should we do that another day? Like the procedure
Procedure.
that the public will be here and we'll have our list of what we've already gone over, our initial recommendations, and then it'll be and then
The draft final report will be posted on the website as well as submitted in your packet.
and then we will start that meeting and take
We
comments
just
or
receive public comment on the draft report.
okay. And then see
And then it's up to y'all to, at that point, make your
amend
final
it or
considerations
okay.
on the report. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I'm good.
Any more business?
I make a motion to adjourn for
Have
the
a
night.
motion to adjourn? No?
No?
What you are.
Yeah.
Meeting is adjourned.
Time, sir?
7:54.